What up, it's video time. Now last week, I assume you'll remember that I didn't get my hands on anything. First off, I'm going to say that was a lie, because last weekend, possibly even the day I filmed last week's episode, I went to Sainsbury's and got myself a Sane Swipe, is what I've been calling him. The Dark of the Moon exclusive side swipe, because he was half price. I've been umming and ahhing over getting him for a while, since I broke my sidearm side swipe with one of these flaps. His guns gone, broke off. For half price, he's pretty good. I do like him. The vehicle mode is obviously what you're buying it for. It does look really good, and it hides away all the panel lines better than the sidearm version. But of course, you just don't have anything shiny. The only thing shiny is on his face. This horrible yellow head he's got. But it's still a nice figure. I know it's a homage to the G2 GoBot side swipe, I think. But I look at it and just think it's a homage to Armada side swipe, because basically they've got the same colours. It's obviously full of all these little Easter eggy bits, and I know what all of them mean. So please don't try and seem smart by telling me, oh yes, that's a Transtech Autobot symbol on there, you see, because I already know. I'm a frequent TF Wiki peruser, and I know more than I should. So he's nice, but of course, being a Dark of the Moon figure, even though he is like, a Wave 1 Dark of the Moon figure, really, he still feels like he's made out of this cheap plastic. I don't know what it is. It's all this sort of really smooth, glossy, slightly softer, detail fudging sort of plastic. Getting on to this week, I did order a Creo Prowl off of Amazon because he was dirt cheap, and I thought I'd try my hand at some Creo. I do like my Lego, or I did, so I'm looking forward to that getting here. And for only £2.84, I think that's a very good deal, considering that I went into a Tesco's here, picked one up, and it was 18 quid. Have I got a... That's an ultra bargain. I think that deserves an ultra bargain. That's just amazing, and I'm getting pretty excited. I think that I might actually get into some Creo. I don't know. If it's as cheap as that, I definitely will. Because for some reason these days, I know Lego at least is really expensive for what it is. So I would imagine, I know Creo is actually cheaper than Lego. They've been brought back for a second lot later in the year, so I would imagine it's done quite well. I think it was just, it'd be something nice and fun again to have that's a Transformer. Something different, and that's got me excited. Talking of something different and exciting, I got my first Prime Deluxe figure. No, it's not my first edition Cliff Jumper from Mitch Santona. He's yet to send his off, and I've got to send his off as well, to be honest. But I was on eBay, been watching a first edition Bumblebee. Oh, check out that lab piping, oh yeah. Been watching it for quite a while. The price has obviously gone up since the whole news of the line being cancelled, but it was still, I think it was $14.99, there was something like £3 postage. I thought, well, while it's under 20 quid, I better nab one, because I can see these are gonna just skyrocket. And it got here really quickly, actually. It got here the day after I ordered it, which is amazing. And I'm just really impressed with him. I really didn't think I would be, because it's just Bumblebee, and I was happy to get him as my first big Prime figure, but I really like the design. There's something about this figure that's just, maybe it's just because I know it's so new and nice, but it's just done really well. And you just, it's great. Look at that light piping. I mean, obviously the RID one's got two guns, so that makes it a bit better. But you look at that, it's just the whole chest and the arms and everything, and the head pops up. It's all Automorph. I just thought, I don't want that. If that's going to be the mould for this new Hotshot, I don't want to have to buy it twice if I get Bumblebee in that. So I thought I'll get the first edition one. It looks nice, and he is really nice. He's not quite as poseable as I'd want him. His knees don't go back very far because of all this stuff on the backs of his legs. But he does look good. I think every time I watch Prime, because I've watched all the episodes, every time I watch the episodes again, the character designs just grow on me a bit more. I mean, I've liked Ratchet from day one. He's obviously the best looking bot there. But I think Bumblebee's design on the show is actually really nice. They all look really cool, and there's a sort of character to each of them, and Bumblebee does look good in the show. I thought, yeah, I'd want to get a figure of him. And I think this is probably the best at the moment that we're going to get, and I'm pretty happy. What I'm not happy about is the level of quality control on this figure. For a start, this arm is floppy. He's got one knee that is considerably looser than the other. But that's not the icing on the cake, as it were, because you'll see I can do this. I don't think that's meant to happen. I shall tell you why, because in here, don't know if you can see that little nub poking out, there should be a rivet going in there. And I do have the rivet, which is meant to secure it into this hole here. But just won't go back in there. The hole in here, somewhere, is just not big enough. I don't know how it was ever in there in the first place. I mean, I was just transforming it for the first time, and I hear a clatter and see a bright shiny thing come out that's obviously made of metal, and I go, shit, this thing is properly broken. So I tried to put it back in there, but to be honest, it doesn't really matter. It still works perfectly fine. Strength of the plastic joint just keeps it there, but of course it's pretty damn obvious what's wrong here. See that shining over here? Yeah, that's the rivet that's in there, which should be in there, and it's just cack. The one thing I don't like about this figure is, well, it's the plastic, I think. It seems very cheap, it seems very, I don't know, light. I mean, the figure is relatively sturdy, but I just look at it and think, this is the one thing that I definitely know has come out of the Jetfair factory that I own. I'm not really very proud of that fact that I'm owning something that's been made in that horrible place, but it sort of carries over to the figure because you can just tell it's just not made as nicely as it could be. There's obvious issues, and I just hope it doesn't carry over with any other Prime figures. Fingers crossed. But keeping on the theme of quality control, I'm going to show you another figure which I got the same day as Bumblebee. It's Axer. He's very nice, yes, more like horn piping there, but you get the picture. He's got a gigantic noggin. I mean, put him up next to another deluxe Hulk the Decepticons mould, and I mean, look, his head is huge. I'm not really sure how I feel about it. It just looks a bit disproportionate. You know, he's got this tiny, spindly hand and this gigantic head which actually barely fits underneath all the stuff in vehicle mode. You've got to get it just right, or the size of it alone will just mean nothing clips together properly. But combined with his height, because he is of course as long as like a Voyager figure, I think it's quite clever because it's almost like you've got this big, tall, Voyager-sized robot coming out of this deluxe car. It's a testament to the sort of transformation they can make these days. and it just, I don't know, gives a sense of sort of power to his robot mode, and I suppose it's the closest thing we'd get to sort of mass shifting or anything. That was the theme of the 5 Awesome Transformers Guys video this week. I was thinking of doing a response and talking about AXA, but really that's all I've got to say, is that this gives you the sort of feel of what mass shifting is, getting a really big robot from a smaller vehicle. I think I like him as much as Lockdown, just because he's got the character of being essentially a G1 character. And of course he's got a nice big axe. It's all floppy and... But yeah, quality control. Let me show you what happens here. Watch the engine block on his arm. It does not stay in. This is the loosest joint I've ever seen. It's so annoying, because this alone is painted up really nicely, all this shiny silver, but it just won't stay in his arm. It stays in the vehicle mode engine bay, but it won't stay in his arm, which makes me think it's not that this is too small, it's that the hole in his arm is too big. I can't really tell. I'm going to have to try some stuff with it, but it's such a small and awkwardly shaped joint. I don't think I'm going to be able to use any sellotape to fix it, or I don't know any nail varnish. I'm a man. Next week, I can't promise anything. I've got to say, from now on, I can't promise that I'll show you anything at all in these videos. They're probably just going to change into me talking about things and, you know, going through news of the week or whatever, new figure reveals, that sort of thing, because tomorrow I'm going to have to pay the deposit to stay in this house with my friends for next year, and I can't even pay all of it. One of my friends is actually helping me out with that. Until I get my next student finance payment, I'm pretty much broke. I'll have enough money for food, just about, and that'll be it. So no more Transformers, although I am waiting for a couple. Like I said, I've got Creo Prowl coming, I've got my first edition Cliff Jumper from Mitch Santona, and something else which I'll leave as a surprise, so you can be surprised when it arrives, which will probably be next week, I don't know. I've got enough to get on with, I've got things to look forward to, and I'm just going to have to hope I'm going to be able to think of things to talk about in the coming weeks. Because Lord knows I ain't going to have the money. And I almost forgot, I've pre-ordered a set of Prime Legion figures from Toys and Games, because as my first edition Optimus was cancelled, they offered me a refund. So I got store credit, and it was pretty much exactly the same amount of money, even though they gave me a little bit extra, which was very nice. Same price that Prime was. I've ordered a box full of the first 5 Cyberverse figures, Legion ones. So that'll be like Viacon and Ratchet and Cliff Jumper and RC and Bumblebee. I'm looking forward to them. That's something to wait for, but of course they won't be out till March. So I suppose that's something to see over the horizon. So that's a lot for this week. I've been rambling on for far too long.